Okay, so now this looks like it's really recording. Okay, so for when doing your HTML project, typically what I do is I create a basic template and I get everything debugged, and then I'll save multiple copies of it. So you'll start by creating your index page. So I'm in my folder, and it would work better if I was on index.html. And so I will call this Mary's, and I need to go grab that entity, which is the single quotation mark. So I'm going to grab that here for my apostrophe. Though I don't actually need it in the title here. Here I can just use a quote, Mary's hobbies. And then I'm going to add, and there are specific semantic divs that I want included. So you should have a header section, and inside the header section you're going to have a nav section, and then you're going to have a main section, which is where the main content goes, and then you'll have a footer section. And these are pretty much your standard things. You can have asides and other things, but these are the ones I expect to see in almost every page. And so in here, in my header, I'm going to add an H1 tag, and that's where I'm going to have Mary's, and this is where I use that symbol. And so I get this set up, and then I have to link to that styles.css page. So I'm going to do a link styles.css, and then I'm going to want to put in some basic styles to get me started to make sure the things are connecting. So typically I'm going to start with a body, and I'm just going to put in a background color. I'll come back and change this in a bit. Background ivory, and I'll usually set up font for the whole page, font family, and it has a bunch of good ones. What I'm really looking for here is that your basic font should be a sans serif, and I usually use the Arial Helvetica sans serif. And I typically am going to want to set my base size for my font size, and you can do this in pixels, you can do it in percentages, but I'm going to do font size, and this is setting my base font size for the whole page to 20 pixels. And this gives me enough to test to see if they're connecting. And then I can style some things, but I'm going to go back into my index page here, and I'm going to add my links. I want to have sample content to style. So inside the nav, I'm going to have 3 links, and I'm going to have index.html, that's my home page, and then I'm going to have cycling.html, and the text for that will be cycling. And I'm doing this so we have the nav all done and identical on each page, which will save you a lot of time. And then remodeling. And then I can grab those links and I can drop them into the footer. And in the main section, I'm going to put in some basic text just so I can see how things are going to work. I'm going to have an H2, which I will put in as heading 2, and I'm going to have a paragraph that contains lorem times 3. That gives me some text to look at. And then I'm going to do an H3, heading 3. So this gives me things that I can test. Now what I like to do, and I'm going to do a file, save all, I like to go out to Chrome, and then I can open up, and I gotta refresh this, file, and now I can see things, and I can tell with the background that everything is working here. I like to do my styling right inside of Chrome, because that allows me to see changes as I make them. Now I grabbed the material design colors, which I created before, and I'm going to put this in, and when I'm doing something I don't do real often, and I'm just learning to work with the variables, I'll usually just grab that code right from the WC3 page where I'm getting it from, and I'll modify it. So in Chrome, I can go back here and I can actually drop this in here, and then I will copy over those colors by those primary names. And when working with material design, they always use the same names. So if you were to change the color palette, you could just change the colors if we were doing like a template CSS, which we will be doing. So each variable starts with 2 dashes. So I'm going to have dark primary color, light primary color, primary color, icons, accent color, primary text, secondary text, and the divider color. And the nice thing about using variables is if I wanted to change color schemes, and if I do everything with variable names, I'd only have to change it once up here at the top and not throughout my entire scheme. So I'm going to change my background to my icons. That'll make it white. And then I'm going to start styling the different areas of the page. So I'm going to start with the header and work my way down. I don't always do it this way, but it's a logical way to approach it. So for the header, I'm going to do text align center. For H1, I'm going to do a font size of 4M, and I'm going to do a color of primary color. Now for my text color, I need to actually put that in on the body. So I'm going to need to do color primary text, Okay, next I'm going to need to do the nav section. So these are going to be buttons. And I could center the nav, but since I centered the whole header, I don't need to do that. So I'm going to do nav A. So this is anchor text inside the nav. It won't apply to the other links on the page. And I want to make the font size 2M. And then I want to do a padding. And this is going to be 10px, 20px. And that's actually going to allow me to have a background color there. And so I'm going to have the background set to primary color. And you can see that that doesn't really look very good. So I'm going to have to put in some spacing. I'm going to do the text decoration. None. And you'll notice that didn't work because I didn't close the line before it. Line height 2.5. There we go. Margin, this is the area between the buttons. 10px, 20px. And then I want them rounded, so it would be a border radius 20px. And then I'm going to want a border of the same color. And I'll make it 2px solid primary color. For the color here, I'm going to use the icon color. And that looks pretty good. Then I'm going to want a mouse over, so nav a hover, and I'm just going to flip colors here. So I'm going to have background, VAR icons, and I'm going to have a color, VAR primary color. And at this point I should be able to test it. That looks pretty good. And just so I don't lose it, I'm going to do a Command A, Command C, and I'm going to drop this out into my styles.css and save it, just so I don't lose those. Okay, and for the main section, I want to change the line height and font size in the main. So I'm going to do main, font size, medium, nope, too small. Larger, that's good. Line height 1.5, padding 10px. That's giving me spacing between here. Now for my headings H2 and H3, I want those both to have a color of the accent color. And I think I would like them to center. And that should have gotten the accent color, and it didn't. That's because I missed my semicolon right there. There we go. So my mouse overs are working. Now I'm also going to apply a class called current for whichever page I'm currently on. And it's going to have the same styles as the hover. So I can actually copy this, paste it here, and change that to be, actually there's an easier way to do this. I can do dot current, comma, and that way if I change them, it changes for both. And you'll see where that applies in a minute. And then I'm going to want to do a footer, and on that I'm going to want to do text align center. So I'm going to select everything here, copy it, save that, and then I'm going to look at my index page. Now in the footer here I need to include a pipe symbol, and I'm going to do a file, save all. I'm going to check it one more time, and then I'm going to start using this as my template for the rest of the site. That actually looks completely okay to me. Not really in love with the footer links. So we're going to take one more look at just your standard links, which will be in the footer. So for my standard links, I'm going to have, actually I'm going to do footer, links. I'm going to do color, pair, accent color, text decoration, none, font size 2M, font weight bold, and I'm going to see how that looks. Too big. Need to put my semicolon there. That's not bad. So here we go now. 2M. And that looks okay. Now it's, and you can do fractions here, so 1.25M. That's pretty good. Margin 10px, 20px. Much better. Yeah, I don't think I saved it with that. So you're right, they're not coming through. And I was just thinking that because I just added them. So I need to do a file, save all. And then I need to go back here, and I think that's going to give me, and I did that without refreshing here, so I got to do the footer again. So I'm going to do text align center, and I'm actually going to make the fonts here so that they're the same for the pipes. I'm going to make font size 1.25M. Color, and I need to do this so the pipes are the same color. There we go. And now I can do footer A. And have padding or margin. Text identification none, color, accent color. And then I want to do the hover. Dark primary color, text decoration, underline. And that is pretty much exactly what I want. So I'm going to again grab those, go out to my style sheet, save it. I'm going to do File, Save All, and then I'm going to copy that index page, and I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm going to call it template.html, so I have a clean one. And then I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm going to have cycling.html. I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm going to have remodeling.html. Now on each one of these, and I'm only going to do the remodeling one, I'm going to need to go into remodeling, and I'm going to change my title to here to remodeling. I'm going to add an H2 in the header that says remodeling. I'm going to add a class to my remodeling link of current that helps indicate what page we're on. And then I'm going to save that. And I'm going to go, you do the same thing for the cycling page. Now I can go test it. If I go to the remodeling page, you'll see that it indicates in multiple ways that this is the page I'm on. And using that mouse over styling to indicate the page we're currently on, that helps your end user. Now you can also do an H2 here where I've got it, so they know I'm on the remodeling page here. It also indicates it this way. Either of these alone is fine, together is also fine. But that's how you set it up, where you have more than one page. You just create that template, then you have all of your styles done, because that's really the longest part of setting up the styles, and then you can just change the content in main, because everywhere else it should be the same. Let me do a File, Save All. Let's refresh that. I lost my styling here at the bottom, but you guys saw how I did that. So that's how to set up a multi-page project.